Greetings, товарищи, and welcome to Comedic Analysis, the silliest serious series, where I dissect and judge games, suggest possible improvements, and give tips for players, as spoilerless as it is humanly possible. Since this particular series will be about the second Witcher game, it will contain references to the first game, so if you want to be more in touch, you can watch the Witcher 1 Comedic Analysis beforehand. Okay, with all that dealt with, let's begin! Prologue and Tutorial. This time the tutorial is straightforward and simple. We learn all the basic interactions, how to move, how to loot, how to keep track of quests, etc. It is very basic and takes like 5 minutes. The meat is in the following combat tutorial, which step by step introduces us to various combat mechanics. What I like is that the tutorial really checks if you got everything right. You can't just click a skip a step button like you can in some games, to realize in 5 minutes that you don't know how to play, uninstall and whine on forums that the game is crap. On the other hand, some people might find the sheer number of stuff too large. We have 2 types of basic attack, 5 different spells, consumable weapons, dodge, block, riposte and alchemy system shown to us in 10 minutes. That's intimidating. Usually it is better to stretch introductions, and Google told me that they did it like that initially, adding this tutorial later because of players' requests, so I won't argue which way is better. I will just suggest that the tutorial should have stuck to the very basics. Combat and spells, introducing alchemy and consumables later. While you explore the tight tutorial area, you can see that visuals took a big technological step forward to keep up with time. Though sometimes the game starts flexing with gorgeous lighting too hard for my taste. When we complete the tutorial, it proposes a difficulty level for the game. You can disagree and pick whatever you want, though for some reason, unlike the main menu, here difficulty levels come without descriptions. Pick whatever you are comfortable with and the game begins, with a remastered version of the previous game's cutscene.
Wake up. We're here. Why are you shaking?
This moment doesn't make sense. It provides nothing except confusion for newcomers, because they won't recognize the first game's intro. The game immediately skips to prison, so it is only logical to assume that these events are linked, which they are not, and the game does a terrible job at making that clear. So maybe instead of building a separate story for the tutorial, they could have made this dream sequence being the tutorial. Anyway, at prison we witness one of the series' fortes, deep attention to the world surrounding the player. They could have just make a guard be like, "Get up, move, you'll go no further until you have your papers." But they added this little dice scene to liven up the scenery. Next, another big change from the previous game. Dialogue options are not what Geralt will actually say. It is okay, but only if you make sure that this short version accurately depicts the actual line. It may seem like an obvious thing, but...
Fuck you.
That really hurt! My feelings.
Story structure time! We start at the timeline's center, flash back into different stages of assault, then returning to the present and continuing the continuity like honest people do. Only forward. It may seem excessively complicated for no reason, but this flashback hub in the present allows us to interact with one of the main cast NPCs, Vernon Roche, who is called Roach by everyone for some reason, even by himself.
Vernon Roach.
Maybe Roach.
Tell me, Roach.
Vernon Roach.
I guess at some point he was like, "Okay, to hell with all of you, I'm Roach now." Anyway, making us build a relationship with him here saves a lot of time in the future. Little remark before we go further. If you got the best armor or top grade swords in the first game and imported the save, they will be with you. But Geralt thinks that standard armor suits him better, so you will have to re-equip it after every flashback. Just a minor inconvenience, it will end after the prologue. But before we will proceed to a closer look at each flashback, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and leave your feedback in the comments section. It is very important. Thank you. The Camp, an epic environmental design flex telling that's how you do a war camp during siege. Trebuchets make the earth tremble. Dozens of NPCs don't just randomly stand around like dummies. Everyone here has his purpose and place. You make a minor choice, and if you're inquisitive enough, you're introduced to 2 minigames, which we will cover later. The main point of this episode, apart from flexing, is to provide an interactive introduction to what is happening, and that is why I don't think that the possibility to experience flashback in any order is a good idea experience structure-wise.
I had no idea Your Grace was a learned military engineer.
I'm not. I gave the Baroness those ballistae 2 years ago for her birthday.
The Assault, the first taste of real combat. Beginning is easy because enemies are distracted, but after that you have one versus many fights, and the main problem of this game. Like its predecessor, it is not what it looks like, even more so this time. We have fast-paced combat, where a hyper-competent main hero can effortlessly cleave through hordes of enemies, like in Batman Arkham or Devil May Cry, right? Run! And if you don't understand this soon, you will die. A lot. It may sound cool, rolling between enemies, behind their backs, delivering surgically accurate strikes in this gorgeous dance of steel, but here it is not the case, and you can actually see the game telling you this. If you are supposed to be in the middle of action, all possible damage is preventable and/or endurable. Have you ever heard about such tropes as enemies attack one at a time, or main hero is okay after dozens stab wounds? Yeah, that's the reason. Instead, you are supposed to stay on the periphery, looking for prey that is weak or separate from the herd. You are the wolf school witcher after all. Draw wisdom from your totem animal. If you are struggling, follow the simple directive. Engage only under the Quen sign. Run in, do a few hits, roll out. Dodge roll doesn't actually have any invulnerability frames on it, so you can't use it to avoid damage, only to position yourself. Never get yourself surrounded and you will be okay. Later, with levels and personal skill, the game will become much easier. The next flashback is a dragon encounter. You have to stand undercover while the dragon makes barbecue a la Valette. Or it doesn't. There is no indication if the dragon is still on, except for barely hearable audio clue. It is confusing and there should be visual indication that the heat is on. Otherwise, there is nothing worth mentioning in this scene. It just exists. Continuing, we have this search sequence. You have a little district packed with random lootable houses and you have to find some hidden entrance in this haystack. Fortunately, developers guide you to it with clashing soldiers, so it is easy enough to do. You can even do a little side quest here. Then the game tries to remind you how to use potions by making you drink a night vision potion, but you can see perfectly even without it. Next, an introduction to Silver for Monsters aspect of Witcher's life, several combat encounters, and the next flashback. Introducing quick time events, interactions as sudden as they are deadly. They pop up unexpectedly during cutscene to make you suffer. One miss, you are dead. That's it. Sounds like developers are walking on a very thin ice mechanic, but personally, as long as these troll checks don't make me replay long sequences, I can endure the pain. We Harry Potter vs Basilisk the Dragon and watch how Geralt and the player gets reminded of what this game is called.
Oh my god! They killed Kitty! You bastard!
And thus, flashbacks are over. We find ourselves participating in the new version of fist fighting minigame. This time it is a simple quick time event, though not as deadly as cutscene ones, thankfully. What I'm not thankful for is the following stealth sequence. Really, seriously. Casually putting a stealth mechanic in a game just because, without making it really work, should be considered a crime against humanity. You can go swords blazing without real repercussions, but some poor souls will want to do it the intended way. God bless them. If God's perception was a bit more polished, this section would have leveled up from confusing and slightly frustrating to simply dull and time-wasting. But honestly, having it in the first place is not a very exciting decision. Also, in this section we see game's another main selling point, which is that your choices will matter. For now, it will be presented as little changes to linear experience. But hey, it is still technically the tutorial, so the consequences are tutorial-y.
Bloody hell, you didn't have to torch the castle.
And that's it. We did our run through the prologue section. Concluding, the game presents itself very weirdly. We have great visuals, modernized mechanics, cross-platform, and the promise of top-tier story. The huge improvement from the first game is obvious. Everything here shouts, "Hey dudes, play me! I'm not that strange Witcher game anymore, I'm totally new and normal now!" But is it? deep inside, where it actually matters. That we will see in next episodes of The Witcher 2 Comedic Analysis. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, subscribe to my channel, and I can't stress this enough, leave your feedback in the comment section. It will help me develop as a content creator and generally will have a positive effect on my morale. Thank you for watching, stay tuned for more content, с вами был товарищ Комрад, out.